The story begins in the future when a massive explosion on the sun's surface completely destroyed the Earth's ozone layer, making it nearly impossible for any living being to survive on Earth. This blast is called a solar flare. Conditions got so bad, direct sunlight even made anyone burn. 15 years after this event, we see an engineer named Finch who was out looking for food with his robot partner, Dewey. To protect himself from the sun's deadly UV rays, he wore a special kind of suit that protected his entire body from radiation. If radiation rose, warning, high. Anyway, Finch, humming something, arrived at a store with Dewey, where they collected dog food along with other supplies. There were many dead bodies lying on the ground, but they ignored them. After finishing the work, Finch put a mark on the building so that next time he would remember that he had cleared it out. After that, he got into a truck and, with the help of a map, reached a deserted city that was buried in sand on all sides. There was no trace of any human there. That's why Finch was moving forward, bumping cars out of the way to clear a path. Suddenly, Finch's suit warned him that a huge storm was approaching, so Finch tried to flee from there quickly. In this hurry, he collided with some cars and escaped from the city just in time. In a short while, he reached his underground lab. Actually, this place used to belong to the same space energy company where he worked. Anyway, the storm was still moving towards him very quickly, but Finch dragged Dewey into the building and thus had a narrow escape. After finally being safe, Finch thoroughly cleaned his suit and Dewey. Then, while he was taking a shower, he started coughing violently. It is then revealed that he is going to die soon due to the dangerous radiation. After cleaning, Finch went to his room. Goodyear left. Finch petted, then fed. But Finch only had one drink himself because he had very little food left. Later, he kept looking longingly at the can of peaches in the fridge, but he somehow stopped himself and saved the can for a special occasion. After this, Finch got busy with his main project. He was actually building a humanoid robot that would take care of Goodyear even after he died. One of Finch's robots scanned all the books in the library, saving all their information into a database. And Finch was going to load this database into the humanoid robot's brain. Between tasks, he'd take breaks to play fetch with his doll. Then, in the evening, Finch was reading a book on radiation and became quite disheartened because he realized that he didn't have much time left. So instead of sleeping, he continued to work on his robot. He had almost finished the head, but it was just missing the eyes. That's why he took out Dewey's eyes and said that he would give him new eyes later. But as soon as he activated his robot, it couldn't speak, but was answering Finch's questions by nodding its head. Finch was very happy to see him. That's why he quickly fixed his speech problem too. Robot spoke. Goodyear barked. Then the robot chose the name Jeff and told its master, Finch, that it knew everything he had put into the database. According to its programming, the robot had to obey all of Finch's orders, the first of which was that it would not harm humans. Finally, Finch explained to Jeff that his real purpose was to take care of Goodyear after he died. Just then, the building's power went out. Finch went outside and restarted the wind turbine. Meanwhile, Jeff tried to talk to Goodyear, but the dog just peed on his leg and walked away. Suddenly, Finch saw a massive storm approaching from a distance, so he quickly ran inside and connected Jeff to the weather station. It is then revealed that within the next 24 hours, 4 different storms will collide to form a superstorm that will last about 40 days. It was absolutely impossible to escape such a massive tornado, so Finch decided to get out of there as soon as possible. In the end, he ate his can of peaches and, ignoring the blood flowing from his nose, looked at the map and saw that this might be the only way out. Now they would have to head west towards the city of San Francisco. After that, Finch finished the work of building Jeff's body, and he boosted data transfer speed. Still, his math showed that only 72% could get done, but he had very little time left. Robot connected. Jeff stood, taught to walk. Goodyear barked. Jeff stumbled and fell several times. Then Finch packed all his essentials. Meanwhile, due to not having eyes, Dewey was repeatedly bumping into things, so Finch used his security cameras to give him new eyes. After this, the whole team got into the RV and left. On the way, they saw that all the areas around them had turned into desert. Then Finch told them about the golden days of Earth when there were beautiful flowers and animals. Just then, he noticed that a screw in Jeff's head was loose. That's why when they all reached a new city, Finch stopped at a place and repaired it. While Finch was working, Jeff saw his postcard collection. Finch kept the San Francisco postcard especially safe because someone close to him had sent it. Then Jeff said that he really liked the Sydney postcard and wanted to go there. No plane, Seth. Finally, after the repairs were complete, Finch said that he would now go out to find something to eat. But when Dewey found out that this time Finch was taking Jeff with him instead, he was very disappointed to hear it. Supplies, theater. Its door was tied with a thick chain, but Jeff, with his strength, easily ripped the door off. Jeff saw himself happy. Finch got popcorn. He went outside and showed Jeff that the sun's rays were so strong that all the popcorn popped on its own in just a few moments. But just then, they saw the storm racing toward them. Now they immediately got into the RV and fled the city, but the storm was about to engulf them. Now the only option they had left was to find a safe shelter. Then Finch, with Jeff's help, tied the RV down with wires so the storm wouldn't blow it away. Ew, he tired quickly. Then Jeff sent him back to the RV and finished the job himself, working hard. Inside, Finch sent Goodyear into a cabinet and then quickly covered all the windows and called out to Jeff. As soon as Jeff tied the last wire, the storm reached their RV, but Jeff also got inside just in time. When the storm hit, the RV shook violently. Finch and Jeff both stayed inside, nervous. Outside, wires snapped one by one. One remained. The RV shook for ages. Finally, the storm passed, after which they all came out of the RV. Finch saw that in the end, the only wire left was the one Jeff had put all his effort into securing. Anyway, the storm had also damaged one of their tires. So Jeff lifted the RV with his hands so that Finch could easily change the tire. Then the whole team spent the night there and rested. The next morning, they opened the solar panels and set off on their way again. Later, Jeff also started barking at Goodyear because he thought he might learn the language of dogs. But Finch explained to him not to worry. With time, Goodyear would learn to trust him. Later, when they were on the road, Jeff asked him what trust is, but Finch couldn't figure out how to explain it to him. Then he told Jeff a story. When he was at his first job, no one was working properly on his project. Then Finch single-handedly fixed all the software issues. But when it was time to give credit, he named the whole team, saying everyone did it together. He won trust. Jeff was baffled. Finch coughed hard. Then he stopped at a restaurant to take a break. He parked the RV in the shade at the entrance, and he ran into the restaurant without wearing his suit. But then he noticed he was coughing up blood. Suddenly, he heard Goodyear barking. He saw Goodyear wouldn't come out with Jeff. Then Finch himself grabbed his leash and led him into the restaurant and told Jeff to guard the RV. Meanwhile, Finch was playing with Goodyear, and Jeff sat in the driver's seat and turned on the music, and then tried to drive the RV, but it collided with a car. Hearing the noise, Finch immediately ran outside. Seeing him, Goodyear also followed him. He was about to step into the sun's rays when Finch stopped him just in time. Then Finch scolded Jeff and told him to park the RV back very carefully. But this time, the vehicle collided with the restaurant. Then Finch, furious, thrust his hand into sunlight and showed Jeff, "Look closely how badly it burns." He started yelling at Jeff in anger that Goodyear could have died because of one of your mistakes. Think carefully before you act. Your real focus should only be on Goodyear. Anyway, later, when they set off towards their destination, Finch noticed that Jeff was quite sad, so he thought that he would teach Jeff how to drive. At first, Jeff struggled and kept bumping around, but he soon learned the technique and drove easily. Finally, when night fell, they stopped at a place and watched the beautiful northern lights together. Now that the Earth's ozone layer was gone, they were clearly visible. Jeff asked why they don't travel at night if the sun is such a problem. Finch said people are wandering from door to door nowadays. Many hungry people strike only from shadows. The next morning, Jeff heard Goodyear barking and ran to Finch. Finch was vomiting and shaking all over. Jeff took good care of him and then told him to rest. Now he started driving himself and soon reached a new city. Then Jeff told Goodyear to stay with Finch and went out with Dewey to find some food. First, they entered a hospital, but there wasn't much there. Jeff told Dewey to wait at the door and went upstairs himself, but neither noticed anyone watching them from the dark. Meanwhile, Jeff found medicine and a jacket and he put it on. Then he found a cabinet stocked with essentials. Below, Dewey also found something to eat. Trap. He died. Finch woke. Robots gone. He realized that he was in trouble. That's why he put on his suit even in his weakened state and went out. In a few moments, he reached Dewey. Finch couldn't bear to see him in such a bad condition. That's why he powered Dewey down. At that moment, he heard someone coming and prepared to attack, but it was none other than Jeff. Finch scolded Jeff, "Missed the trap." Sudden noise. They ran. Then on the stairs, Finch started coughing badly and fell to his knees, and those sounds were rapidly approaching them. So Jeff picked Finch up, and they both immediately got out of the building. Then they quickly reached the RV and fled from there. A few hours later, when night fell, Finch finally noticed that someone in a car was following them. Jeff had night vision and could drive even in the dark. That's why he turned off all the RV's lights, but the car was still behind them. Then they tried to increase their speed, but just then, Finch's eyes fell on the underpass ahead, so he turned the steering wheel at the last moment and took the RV off the road. Jeff explained to Finch that the RV was taller than the underpass and we would get stuck there. But Finch drove the RV in a panic to hide it under the underpass. Anyway, Jeff was absolutely right. But now, hitting the underpass damaged the solar panels mounted on the RV's roof. Since they were already damaged, Jeff pushed with all his might and completely hid the RV under the underpass. Now they were all very scared and started waiting for the car behind them to leave. Then Jeff saw that Finch also kept a gun to protect himself. Fortunately, that car left, and Finch came out and saw the damage to the RV. He started cursing himself that now he couldn't even repair it. He understood that they wouldn't be able to reach San Francisco in this condition. Then Jeff tried to encourage him, but Finch lost his temper in anger. "Shouts, Jeff, trust you, manage." Then Finch told him another story. In the beginning, after the solar flare explosion, people were just learning new ways to live. Then Finch reached a supermarket and found a bag of noodles, but then he saw a mother and daughter whose cart was full of supplies. "Armed girl, mom, shoot on sight." Finch hid, fearing death. But at that moment, a thug arrived with a shotgun and started demanding their belongings. But in the scuffle, the thug fired several shots. By the time Finch came out, both the mother and daughter were dead. But then he heard a sound. He looked in the girl's bag and a frightened puppy came out. That day, Finch adopted this puppy. named him Goodyear, and decided to always protect him. From that day, he chose to trust Noah. Next morning, Finch rested while Jeff drove the RV. Then Jeff checked the postcards and found out that the San Francisco card was signed by Finch's father, and the other postcards were completely blank. Suddenly, the computer said the UV levels here weren't that dangerous. Then, suddenly, a butterfly crashed into the RV. Confused, Jeff stopped the RV and woke Finch up. Surprised, Finch reached outside with his hand. It didn't burn. Seeing this, he jumped with joy and came out to enjoy the sunshine. When he saw butterflies and a flower nearby, he couldn't contain his happiness. After hours traveling, they saw many trees and plants in the nearby area. To celebrate this, Finch put on his special suit, stopped the RV, and sat down for a picnic in the sunshine. Jeff said he saw them all standing on the bridge last night. Hearing this, Finch was happy, because Jeff had now learned to dream like a human. Then Jeff asked him why he lied about the postcard. So Finch told him a new story. When he was a child, his mother told him that his father had Viking blood in his veins. Then Finch showed Jeff a picture of a Viking funeral. Finch's father had left before he was born, because he was an engineer who built large bridges, and his work required him to travel to different countries. Finch never spoke to him. Postcard arrived. His father had written that one day he would like to meet his son, and Finch had bought this suit for that special occasion. Sadly, after that he never heard from his father again. Jeff found it fascinating. He said that if they left soon, they could reach the Golden Gate within 18 hours. That's where your dad sent the postcard from, right? But Finch reminded him of his condition, that he wouldn't be able to make it there and was going to die soon. Then he threw a ball and taught Jeff how to play with Goodyear. But even when Jeff threw the ball, Goodyear would bring it back and give it to Finch because he still didn't trust Jeff. Then suddenly, Finch started coughing up a lot of blood. Jeff tried to help him, but Finch said, "You've already helped me a lot." He shook Jeff's hand, hugged him. Finch lay in the RV. Goodyear came. Jeff stayed outside, gathering supplies. But as soon as the sun set, he heard Goodyear crying and understood that Finch was dead. Finally, in his honor, Jeff and Goodyear gave him a Viking-style funeral, cremating him along with his suit. At first, Jeff didn't understand what he should do next, but soon he remembered that he had promised to take care of Goodyear. He fed Goodyear and then threw the ball, and for the first time, Goodyear brought the ball back to him. Soon, they became friends while playing, and Goodyear also hugged Jeff. Finally, they set out on the road again, because they wanted to reach Finch's destination. Finally, when they reached San Francisco, Jeff built a memorial in Finch's memory and went to see the Golden Gate with Goodyear. He was amazed by the beauty of the place. He also saw messages that people had left for their families. Seeing all this, Jeff told Goodyear that they should find these remaining people and help them. Finally, he drew a picture of his team on a postcard and hung it up, and he set off with Goodyear to start a new life. Like the video? Please like and subscribe. See you in the next video.